Hi guys, welcome to day 6. Today we're going to be reading the book I Am Jim Henson by Brad Meltzer. These are my favorite biographies. I love the pictures in them and they have really good stories. So I Am Jim Henson. And right in the front there's a little comic and it said, I like the book so far. It hasn't started yet. That's what I like about it. I Am Jim Henson by Brad Meltzer. I am Jim Henson. Look right there. He has a puppet in his hand, and it kind of looks like a puppet I know. I wonder if you guys can guess what it is. Or who it is. Oh, good. You're here. What's the fun of a story if you don't have anyone to share it with? Growing up in Mississippi, I used to love to watch birds. I even made my own book where I'd list each bird I saw and add my own drawings. And it says, that bird up there is my favorite, the blackbird. Blackbirds have fun personalities, and I also love their other name, the grackle. Don't you just love funny names like that? My whole life, I loved kooky words. Want to know what else I loved? Laughing. As a kid, this was one of my favorite family jokes. My mom used to play it on my brother and me. Say when. Gee, that's enough. Mom, that's enough. Mom, you didn't say when. At 8 years old, I'd come here to the movie theater. Every Saturday, this was my favorite place. For 15 cents, I could get a bag of popcorn and spend the whole day watching cartoons, newsreels, action movies, and comedies. My favorites were the one with wild clothing and far-off locations, like the Old West or foreign countries. The rest of the week, my friends and I would recreate what we saw in the movies, using homemade props and costumes. Look, the great snake charmer! There's a bed sheet used as a turban and a garden hose used as a snake. Look, a star tattoo. Cork cut like a star, then charred black. Star tattoo that bad guy had in the movie. With a little imagination, we would start pretending, and there was no limit to what we could create. My grandparents played a big role in my life. I got my middle name, Maury, from my grandfather, who loved to laugh too. He never laughed at anyone, never made fun of people. As for my grandmother, she was my best audience. When she came over to visit, we used to paint, glue, and crayons to make the most wonderful art projects. She was the one who encouraged me to draw things that made me happy. Monsters with giant mouths and birds with big eyes. Ta-da! I adore it, Jimmy. Now tell me a story about each creature. Those days with my grandmother changed my life. She encouraged me to tell stories. She supported my love of reading, and she was amazing with a needle and thread. She could sew anything. What is that? It's a coat made out of an army blanket. You like it? Gee, I really do. But the most important thing she taught me was that with my imagination, I could do anything. I could be anything, including a performer. One night during a skit in Cub Scouts, I had one of my friends stand in front of everyone with their hands behind their back. Then I put my own hands in. What's so funny? I'm being serious here. I can still hear the crowd laughing. I always loved a good performance. Growing up, I would listen to shows on the radio like Green Hornet, The Shadow, and one of my favorite comedians, a ventriloquist named Edgar Bergen. Even though Edgar Bergen did the voices, I never thought Charlie McCarty or his other characters were puppets. They were humans to me. His work was magic in the real sense. It seemed impossible. That's what magic is. It creates wonder. It creates dreams that inspire. I've seen their pictures in newspapers, but here with each show, an ordinary object came to life. Once upon a time, long, long ago. Funny, nothing ever happens nowadays. Something happened when Edgar spoke through Charlie. The puppeteer wasn't just sharing jokes. He was sharing the best part of himself, and people were listening. When I was 13, a new technology changed my life. At a friend's house, I saw an invention called television. You have a television? We just got it. Isn't it cool? Can we get a TV? Can we get a TV? Can we get a TV? Can you please stop? Sure. Now can we get a TV? I wouldn't give up, and soon my parents gave in. On TV, I found comedians like Sid Caesar, Milton Berle, and Jack Benny. One of my favorites was Ernie Kovacs, who tilted the set and camera so everything slid sideways. I especially loved variety shows, which had big casts that would sing, dance, and do comedy. And then there was Kukla, Fran, and Ollie, a show where puppets made jokes and sang with a human co-star. The way they talked to each other, it was like those puppets were alive. Right away, I knew one thing. I wanted to work in television. At 16 years old, I went looking for a job at the local TV station. Sorry, kid. Sorry, kid. Sorry, kid. There had to be another place that would hire me. They all said no. But like the time I begged my dad for a TV, I never gave up. Soon after, a local station announced it was looking for a puppeteer. I never used a puppet before, but my whole life I loved creating. This was the job I wanted. So how'd I get it? The same way you get any dream. Work hard. I went to my high school library, took out books on puppetry, built a few puppets, and went back to the station. Now I'm a puppeteer. Will you hire me? They gave me a chance, and that was all I needed. Was my first show a success? No, it was canceled. But did I give up? Not a chance. My partner and I continued creating, continued working hard, and eventually we got our own 5 minutes before The Tonight Show. Along the way, we came up with a name for our characters. We called them Muppets, playing around with the word puppet. But really, it was just a fun word, like grackle. Boys and girls, do we remember what grackle is another word for? By the way, this is Jane. She worked on the show with me. We're going to get married one day. Wait, we get married? Don't ruin the ending. Our show was soon called Sam and Friends. We needed a new puppet, and the answer was right in plain sight. I was 18 years old and found my mother's old wool coat. I cut it apart and sewed a new body. My grandmother taught me that one. I gave it a pointed face. I glued on the halves of a ping pong ball for eyes, and then I became the one who performed his voice. Yes, he was turquoise back then, and he wasn't even a frog, but he did have a name, Kermit. Boys and girls, have we heard of Kermit the Frog and Muppets? This man, Jim Henson, was the one that started all of it. With each show, I kept interviewing new characters, dreaming up new ways to make people laugh. On TV, unlike a puppet stage, there were no walls, so we could film our Muppets from far away, or bring them really close for an easy laugh. And while old-fashioned puppets had frozen expressions, our Muppets' faces could move. We could do faces that were funny, angry, or even sad. To make our Muppets seem even more real, we crossed their eyes slightly. This gave them focus, and now they started to come alive. But you want to know my real secret? Practice. We would practice in a mirror over and over again until it was just right. The only way people would feel a sense of wonder was if we could give each character a life of its own. Let's do it again, fellas. This is Jerry Jewell, who writes for the Muppets, Don Shaling, who helped build the Muppets, and Frank Oz, who will be the voice and performer of Grover, and even Yoda. Boys and girls, we've heard of Yoda. Who's Yoda? Don't ruin the ending. We did commercials and performed on other shows, but like so much of life, it was all just training for our next big adventure. Two TV producers named Joan Gaz Cooney and John Stone were about to give me the opportunity of a lifetime. We want to create a show that will change the lives of children, especially those whose families don't have a lot of opportunities. We want a show that can help them learn to read and count. And they even had a name for it. Boys and girls, do we want to guess what the show was? Sesame Street. Okay. Since kids love the Muppets, we built Muppets who could interact directly with the kids. We began with a big yellow bird who was a child himself. That's me. I'm Big Bird. And then we added a grouchy green monster named Oscar. They know who I am. On November 10th, 1969, the first episode aired, and it was a smash hit. Every episode, Sesame Street taught the ABCs, like, C is for cookie, that's good enough for me. And 1, 2, 3s, that's four beautiful, bats. It was one of the first shows to have kids of different races playing and learning together. It taught kids how to share, how to take turns, and how to get along. Certainly, with all its zany creatures, it made us laugh too. But at its best, with songwriters like Joe Rasposo, Sesame Street made us think, especially about what kind of people we wanted to be. Green's the color of spring, and green can be cool and friendly like, and green can be big like an ocean, or important like a mountain, or tall like a tree. Through song, the whole world heard that green, and all of us can be anything. Isn't it beautiful to see the world like that? In fact, Kermit's humor never came from making fun of people, it came from bringing us together. And focusing on the good in everyone, my own sense of wonder took over, and my dream of entertaining others came true. The Muppets and I went on a new adventure and got to bring along some favorite old friends. It's the Muppet Show with our very special guest, Mr. Edgar Burren. Every week on the Muppet Show, frogs, pigs, bears, and creatures of all kinds reminded the world that despite all the chaos, Thank you, and thank you. Oh boy, what a crowd. I don't approve of belly dancers. Why can't they dance on the floor like everyone else? Waka waka. Sorry about that, folks. All I was saying, on The Muppet Show and on Sesame Street, I wanted our audience to know that despite all the chaos and despite our differences, there is nothing more fun than being together. From there, I never stopped creating and dreaming. In fact, the more we performed, the more fun we had, and the more my dream grew, bringing millions of people together. What could possibly be more magical than that? Life's like a movie. Write your own ending. Keep believing, keep pretending. We've done just what we set out to do. Thanks to the lovers, the dreamers, and you. In my life, I love to create, but the secret behind my best creations wasn't a strong hand or a catchy voice or even a funny voice. It was a simple idea. There's good in all of us. Sure, we're all different. Some of us have beards or no hair or blue fur or green flippers, but goodness lives within each of us. That's an idea that should never get old. Believe in the good of the world. Create something new. Share what you love. And find others who believe in those favorite things you dream about. Together, we can make magic. And some of these facts, it says, today Sesame Street is watched by millions of kids in more than 150 countries, worldwide from Brooklyn to Bangladesh. And at its peak, The Muppet Show was watched by over 235 million people per week. Did you know he even started the Jim Henson Foundation to promote and develop the art of puppetry? Not to ruin the ending, but is this the ending? I think that's the secret. As long as there are new dreamers, new people who love to entertain and pretend, this is a story that never ends. Guess what? I want to create cool things just like you. Gee, thanks so much. Don't let anything stop you. It starts when we're kids. That's when we learn some of the best things in life. Laughing, sharing, imagining, dreaming, creating. Never stop doing them, and never stop being kind. There's nothing wrong with being a do-gooder. I'm Jim Henson, and I will keep believing and keep pretending. And these are real pictures of Jim Henson. Okay. The end. All right, boys and girls, so that was a biography, which means it's a story about someone's life. It also means it's nonfiction, which means it's true. I hope you guys really liked it. I'm not going to have any questions today for you, but I am going to put a link for some fun Muppet clips, so maybe you can watch some of them with mom or dad or someone at home. I also heard that they're all on Disney Plus, so if any of my friends out there have Disney Plus, you can watch some great Muppet shows. All right, have a great day, guys. See you tomorrow.